To thread the top of the machine, you start here, you follow the lines, you go here. Oh, that didn't do right.
Okay. Let me see how you go down around here.
There we go. And then here you go.
Okay.
And it's been a long time since I threaded this one.
Dad, you're okay.
You shouldn't have to do it this way. It should
Catch it?
Yeah, it should catch it, but it didn't. So it has to go through that little...
And then down through the...
And then you thread it. And you always have to thread it from front toward the back.
Okay.
And then for the bobbin, I don't know if you...
We did figure out the bobbin.
Okay. To thread the bobbin, the thread should be going across the bobbin to the right. And you slide the bobbin in, and then it goes in the little slot, and then down to the big hole.
Okay.
And then it has a little lever on it, and you pull the lever out to help you get it in there. And you'll feel it click once it gets in there, and then you just let the lever go, and it should be set. You have to close the drawer to put the front back on.
Do you just leave the thread hanging out like that?
Yes,
Hanging
it'll
out
be
the door?
fine.
Okay.
And to change, right now this is set on a straight stitch. There are two types of stitches on this machine. There are red stitches and black stitches. And at each notch around the stitch change button, there are red and black stitches.
Right.
The way you change from red or black is this bar right here. When red is up on this bar, you're doing red stitches. When black is up, you're doing black stitches. This circle on the bottom is the stitch length. An average stitch that you would sew most things with would be anywhere from 8 to 12.
Okay.
B means basting stitch, which is a pretty loose stitch. You want to get almost all the way around, 24 or so, to do a buttonhole, because you want your buttonhole to be really tight stitch. This one on the top, that's length. The one on the top is width. There's a red dot on the side for, I don't think you can see it, but there's a red dot on the side at the black arrow, and that's just a
Oh, I see.
no width. That's just a straight stitch. But if you want to do a zigzag, then you go however wide you want it, with 1 being very narrow, and it goes around to 5 being the widest zigzag stitch it'll do. But for a straight stitch, you want it just at the little red dot. So, right now I have it set on a straight stitch. And it broke the thread. Occasionally you have to play with it because it's an old machine. And there are two different ways to adjust it. This is the top tension, and the tension is where the top thread and the bottom thread join together. If you're pulling it, if you're seeing loops on the top of the fabric here, then your top tension is too tight. So you can adjust it some, and you just have to adjust it and play and adjust it. Yeah, because you're pulling the bottom thread up to the top of the fabric, which means your top is tighter.
Okay, gotcha.
If you got the loops on the bottom, then the bottom is too tight because it's pulling the top to the bottom.
Gotcha.
So you just have to adjust it and play a little bit and keep trying and testing it on a piece of fabric. This actually looks like a pretty good stitch right here. The one I've got it set on right now. And I've got it set on about, there's a little notch in this circle that my fingernail is fitting into. You can't see it on the video, but there is a little notch. It's about 6.5, between 6 and a 7 going down the dial. Okay. And that just looked like it was a good adjustment between the top and the bottom. You can also adjust the tension on the bottom with the screw on the bobbin shuttle. You turn it to the right to tighten it, and left is loosey.
Righty tighty, lefty loosey.
Exactly. Small changes. Don't screw it down 2 or 3 times, turn it a quarter of a turn and try it and see how it's working, and then another quarter of a turn, because small adjustments make a big difference on the bobbin.
I didn't know that was how you adjust it.
Yep. So if you want to do a zigzag, the red right there is on zigzag and it's on red, and you turn your width.
Okay.
And that'll do a zigzag stitch. That's probably enough to start until she does a couple of things like that. This is your feed dogs. They're up,
Right.
which means this button right here says up or down. That's your feed dogs, which is these little feet. It's below.
Little teeth there that grab the fabric
Right.
and pull it through.
They're the little teeth right there, and they help feed the fabric through at an even rate. You can put you want them up almost all the time. The only time you want them down is when you're doing darning or free motion quilting. So that's kind of way down the road. To change a needle, you loosen this and screw right here. And you put the needle in with the flat surface of the needle to the back.
Okay.
This one moves the needle up and down, so when you stop sewing, if it's kind of halfway down, you just hand crank it up. And this is the bobbin threader. If you want to,
Oh yeah, sure, how to do that.
yeah, if you want to put more thread on your bobbin, and this one already has thread on it, but you would start it through one of the little holes, wind it by hand a couple of times, and put it on there. And to do your bobbin, you put it through this side of the notch. You don't use this side when you're threading the machine. This little piece right here is only for the bobbin.
Okay.
So you come over here, take the end, wind it around a couple of times, push that in, and then just press on the presser foot, and it'll wind your bobbin until you let off the presser foot. You don't have to wind it completely full. If you only want to run a little bit of color, that color thread through there, you don't have to run it all the way. Just put what you want.
And if you want more lessons, call Nancy.
515-2007.